Hello, hello, everybody. Happy Victory Day. First of all, believe it or not, I planned our webinar, and I don't know about you, but at the moment, to me, dates are just they're just I don't see them. We're isolated at home. I didn't think about it. I didn't realize that our webinar was on Victory Day. So, first of all, happy Victory Day. I hope you find the time to remember and do cherish that moment in family. We're isolated, but still, it's a very important day. We're going to start today's webinar. It's 2 o'clock already. We're going to talk about a number of activities, a few ideas for lesson plans, and I'm accepting different people. First things first. I did want to announce that Artyom and I are going to continue our series of podcasts. We're going to have different invitees once in a while. This is the podcasts are going to be free, live on social networks. We're planning the next ones. We're going to invite Tom, of course. Paul Newson is going to join us as well in the next one. And from now on, what we want to do with these webinars that we have together, we want to maximize the teacher support. So we've noticed lately that because these live my webinars are free for everyone, there's a lot of addition on chat and things like that. So from now on, my weekly webinars will be only for subscribed teachers. All right, it's less than 500 rubles a month. It's really worth it. Get on the teacher support, get full access of the materials. And starting from next week, my webinars will be only for subscribed teachers so that we can establish more of a dialogue. We have smaller groups in our webinars, and you can ask, comment, and we can have a more constructive dialogue together. All right, so feel free to participate. In the chat as well. Absolutely, Anna. You're subscribed. I will get, you're on the subscribed teachers. You will get your invitations to my weekly webinars. And that way in small groups, we can have more constructive dialogues. We can have time for questions and answers, things like that. All right? Perfect. So let's dive right in. First things first, I'm going to make a post about this later, but I felt like sharing this. Have you been also making a lot of crafts at home with students? I felt I did this yesterday. I felt I needed to. Whoa, boom, breaking everything. I felt I needed to share this, like with a little group of kids. We made little snails. So this is
That's very cute.
right. This is I made Daddy's snail. He's got a hat, and you see he's got a briefcase. He's going to work.
Okay.
And then they asked me to make a daughter snail. So this is his daughter, and she's got a little backpack. So she's going to school.
Just in case, I'm asking, was it only you who was making crafts, or did kids participate also?
No, of course. These are projects that we have. It's a lot of fun. I think build a monster, for example, build a zoo activity. There are different activities like that. So they're crafts that they made their snails. They made their own snails, of course.
Nice.
It's different times. I didn't expect that I would be making these many crafts at the moment. Usually in class, I would be more of a follower in class. I would give them materials, they're doing it, and I would go from group to group and comment and help. But online, if you don't demonstrate, so whenever we have these little projects, these little crafts, I have to demonstrate. I have to take my scissors, my glue, my cardboard, my crayons and everything, and I have to demonstrate.
That's nice because it makes us understand our students better.
Have you been making crafts as well?
Only in office. Now I don't work with those who are making crafts.
Oh, they're cute. Even though they're at home, they're still cute. All right. So our plan was to go over teaching conditionals. I've got, as you see, I had the database open, but I was on exam preparation because I'm going to be giving an exam preparation course. So I was looking at materials for that. We're going to take out exam preparation and we're going to go straight off to first conditional. I had a few questions this week about what to do with first conditional. So first things first, very important. I find for first conditional, there's no real need to teach first conditional because the basic logic is simply, it's the future. There's no subtlety about it. If the students understand the word if, then they understand first conditional. If they understand the words when, after, before, they understand future time clauses. I've found personally, if I tried to spend too much time on trying to explain first conditional, I just confused my students because they pretty much they already knew what it was. If you know if, you know first conditional. So we're going to concentrate on the form because that's the little surprise for students. That's where they struggle. The fact that we don't use will after if, that surprises them. That's not the structure they're used to in their native language. So they make mistakes with that mainly. Now, if you did watch the podcast, you remember we do say we teachers are trained to tell our students no will after if. It's not entirely true. There are a few cases where we can use will after if. It's just a matter of politeness, of a degree. We're changing the meaning of the verb will. Will can be an auxiliary verb for future. In this case, we never use it after if. But will can also be a modal verb that express the will to do something. And in this case, we can. We're not going to confuse our students with that. Right now, we're concentrating simply on first conditional, future time clauses. So really, the basic logic is very simple. It's a future tense with a condition. If you know if you know unless, it's very important to teach students unless. If you know when, before, after, the moment, as soon as, you understand the logic. The form is very simple. All these words, if, unless, before, after, as soon as, the moment. Any that I've forgotten? Until. All these time words, we use present simple after them. And then we follow that with a future. So if plus present simple, future. I always tell my students future without the simple part because really we can use a first conditional with any kind of future. You can use it with going to, with future simple will. You can use it as well with present continuous. It happens. This is something that they will encounter in real life. So the form is clear. If I'm looking for activities quickly to practice that with my students, I'm going to simply click here in type of activity, P1. First, I want to check their understanding. So I'm going to look for P1. You're going to find a lot of different P1s. There are reviews that are coming, a lot of reviews By the way, this is an improvement that we're going to bring in the next week or so. There's going to be a little button here, only with. I think this should help a lot with the search. When you click this button, because you see here, I select first conditional, but I see materials that are only for first conditional. I also see materials that mix. I find it very important to have materials throughout the course where I mix different target language. It's great, but sometimes I'm not looking for those activities. So we're going to add here a little button, only if. We've already started the programming. It's going to come within a week or two. So when I click that,
it is wonderful. Thank you very much.
That's what I thought as well. It was one of the first improvements that we're working on. We're working on 2 improvements at the moment. Only if button and registers. Registers
and
are
what?
coming.
You want to say bookmarks? Bookmarks are coming.
No, not bookmarks. Gotcha. That was very subtle. Very, very good. Bookmarks. I circled it and circled it and circled it. That was very good. That was very subtle. Very, very nice example of soft skills. So no, bookmarks are not coming yet, but I have circled them like crazy. Bookmarks will be coming. That's a very good idea. Right now, what's coming is
nice. That's the great first step. Yeah.
And registers. So actually, registers will help you with bookmarks because you'll be able to save activities in your registers. But we'll think of bookmarks as well. I've circled it like crazy. So this only if button will help us to filter out these activities. We're looking for only first conditional. So first, second, B2 plus tense review, no. But here we have plenty of P1s, additional practice, just first conditional for different levels. Okay, these are P1 activities. I'm not going to go in details on those. These are simply activities with loads more examples and fill in the blank activities. Let's open this one randomly. There you go. Fill in the blanks. Fill in the blanks with the different time words and things like that. It's very good practice for our students. These are P1s, checking understanding. But now what we want to do is automate. So we're going to look for P2s, right? Oh, sorry. Anna, do you use will for all pronouns in future simple, or shall is also used for I and we? Good question. So shall, a long time ago, shall was the way to go. Nowadays, I know there's still textbooks that kind of insist on traditional grammar. English is a language that changes very rapidly nowadays, and it's not even in the control of native speakers anymore. Let's be honest. There's so much content nowadays online on the internet in English that is not written, prepared by people from England, from Scotland, from America, from New Zealand, Australia. It's a changing language. Shall nowadays is only used. Personally, I can think that's the main use I can think of for suggesting something. Shall we do this? Shall I do that? Shall I help you? Ah, bookmarks. Shall I get working on that?
Yes, it's a wonderful idea.
That's the most likely scenario. I can't think of any other times when I would naturally use the verb shall anymore. It's really a very polite, very nice way of making suggestions. It's not outdated. I love making a suggestion with shall. It sounds very nice. But no, I would not use it in a future time clause, in a first conditional or anything like that. We shall, no, it sounds really outdated. Me just saying we shall, if this goes well, we shall be working on bookmarks for you. No, it really sounds really outdated. So let's get back to our P2s. You know, this is not the first webinar on conditionals. You know that in terms of P2s for conditionals, I'm going to talk about King of the Mountain. I decided today not to. You know King of the Mountain. King of the Mountain is very simple. We give our students the beginning of a conditional sentence and they have to finish it, and they have limited time to go up the mountain. Each step of the mountain is one conditional sentence. They have to finish it and go up to the next step and the next step and the next step. It's loads of fun, but you know what? We've talked enough about King of the Mountain. I wanted to show you something that I was surprised when I answered by email or by messages. Remember, you have messages on the website as well. It's a great way to ask me for any questions. Look, I have a message from Antoine Marc. Isn't it amazing? I have loads of messages from Antoine Marc. This is just my fake teacher account, so don't worry. So coming back to I was answering questions about automating conditionals, and I realized that some of you didn't know speed fill in the blanks and speed unscramble. Loads of fun. There's the word speed in there, so you know it's a classic resource education Tom and Antoine activity, right? So let's start with speed fill in the blanks. It's very simple. The procedure is, it's a fill in the blanks with speed in the title. It's very clear. The procedure on the board, you write down. So if it's not on, we're teaching online, not on the board, on your online board, in the chat, something like that, you write down in a clear, easy to reference place the word that the students will be using to fill in the blanks. You put the students into pairs or groups. Each pair of groups gets a set of cards, and for each card, the students orally fill in the blanks with the correct form of the verb. You can add a challenge afterwards. So they time themselves going through the cards, and students should tell you their times, and then you challenge them. So let me show you some of the cards. Ooh, first, give me a verb.
Smile.
You missed an opportunity to say to bookmark there. All right, to smile. Ready, steady, go, Antoine. I'll enlarge it. All right. If I smile all the time, I will do my homework. If I smiled all the time, I would read more often. I'm going to smile a sandwich if the bakery is open. I would smile a cat if I didn't smile. I would smile a cat if I didn't smile allergies. She will smile fun if she comes. If my neighbor smiles another party, I'm going to be angry. If I smiled an extra ticket, I would invite you to the concert. He would smile a better job if he knew English. They would exercise more if they smiled a gym near their house. Did I make any mistakes? It seems to me I made a mistake. Were you listening at all?
Yes, of course.
Yes, of course. Okay. I didn't make any mistakes, right? I had the impression I did.
You're still going on keeping using right instead of tag questions, right?
Exactly. Okay, I'll get back into tag questions. I'll try. So this was speed fill in the blanks. It's a lot of fun. It's very simple. And you'll see that there's speed fill in the blanks for a lot of different target language. The goal here, as you notice, is to automate the form and to play it in a competition with another target language. So something that students often struggle with, first and second conditional together. Here we're automating the form. By the way, if you're looking for a good example always to stress the difference between first and second conditional, I find there's nothing better than a competition. You just need a competition that speaks to your students' interests or whatever they might follow. Typically, if I don't know, I'll go with a lottery and I'll just simply tell my students, guys, I have two friends, Paul and George. Yeah, they founded a band together. They were pretty cool. Now there's a lottery coming up, and Paul has a ticket. So he thinks he's going to buy a Bentley if he wins. John's a bit jealous because he doesn't have a ticket. He would definitely buy a Bentley if he won, but he's not going to. He doesn't have a ticket. And this example should be very clear to students, the difference between a possible future, even though it's unlikely, we agree, a lottery, even though you have a ticket, even if you have 500 tickets, you're very unlikely to win a lottery. I'm not trying to push my students to play lotteries. So we have a laugh about that, but we agree that it is a possible future. To Paul, the one who's bought a lottery ticket, he's bought a lottery ticket because obviously he does believe in some way that he can win. So he does have a plan in the eventuality that he does win. John, there's no way he's going to win. He's just thinking of a different reality. If I won, I would buy a Bentley. So this is a fun way to picture, to show the difference in necessity. It's a very different case. Now, to automate it, there's also speed unscramble. Speed unscramble, a bit like speed fill in the blank, the name says it all. Let's face it, the name says it all. The students are going to unscramble something and they're going to do it with speed. Procedure. There's a video explanation. Tom made a video explanation of speed unscramble because Tom loves playing speed unscramble. Procedure. Individually, students unscramble the sentences or questions and you check the answers as a class. Why? Very important. Let's remember that when we're automating something, we're building reflexes, we're automating a skill with our students. It is very important that our students start in a safe place. The brain, the mind of our student needs to feel confident that they can do this. If not, then it's negative stress. It's very, very important. This difference between building reflexes and stressing a student into making mistakes. And sometimes there's really a fine line between the two. One of the key factors is that our students need to be in a safe place. And for them to be in a safe place, they need to feel confident that whatever we're going to automate works. They need to feel that they can do this on their own, slowly. It's not a problem. If they have all the time in the world to think about it, they can do it. So you usually do that. You achieve that through fill in the blank exercises, things like that. The goal here is to get our students to do it well without any difficulty so that our students feel safe. That's exactly why we recommend doing this slowly first, because our students need to feel that they can do this at their own rhythm. So take a look. You give them that. If she wasn't lazy, she would do her homework. If I had time, I would call you. If the soup wasn't cold, I would eat it. If the teacher, no, it doesn't work. There's no is. Okay. The teacher will be happy if she does her homework. I will call you if I have time. I will eat the soup if it's hot. I'm the student. I feel safe now. Okay, I've done this once. When I did it slowly, it was fine. Now you take away part 2. You need to flip the paper over or online. You need to make your students quickly forget about it. When you're checking the answers with them, there are some questions and answers. You go over that, and then you take it out of the screen. You put the students into pairs or small groups, and student A now is going to test student B. So student B cannot have their activity open on the screen or anything. Student A is controlling, and student A reads out the scrambled, and student B needs to quickly unscramble them without looking, okay? Antoine, do her if she wasn't homework lazy would. Yeah. If she wasn't lazy, she would do her homework. Boom. I call if I had would time you. If I had time, I would call you. Would eat cold the soup if would eat cold the if it soup wasn't. If the soup wasn't cold, I would eat it. It's not easy. It is absolutely not easy, but the whole goal here is to challenge our students. These are very good. In the speed unscramble, you have very good examples, very natural examples of first and second conditional, and very similar ones. About the soup, there was a first conditional example and there was a second conditional example. About call you, same thing, first and second conditional. So the students, the student's brain cannot remember everything. The student's brain is building its reflexes on how to quickly build that sentence because I know it, I remember it. How do you quickly build it? It's a very good activity for conditionals. It's a great way to automate those two distinctive parts of a conditional sentence. When you have the will would clause and when you have the if clause. You can do it with a timer as well. 15, 25 seconds, go. Or you can time down as you prefer. This is speed unscramble, and as you're going to see, we have some for first and second, second and third on its own, mixed conditionals, loads and loads. So I highly recommend that. If you're tired of killing King of the Mountain, speed fill in the blanks, speed unscramble. Questions, comments? I like this one. There's a speed unscramble for a beginning of course review. It's very nice, but it's C2 level already. All clear.
My adult students sometimes don't like these kind of games because even if they kind of got used to it already, they still sometimes don't like it because they feel like they can't do it, and it often happens to them. Like when we start learning some grammar points, they start saying that they are thinking too much or they're doing it wrong and they will never use it in real life and things like that. Sometimes they react well, but sometimes they keep reacting badly.
I see different problems. Explanations and solutions for that. If you've noticed this recently, I would say, you know what, the current situation is stressing out everybody, and I think it would be wrong to completely ignore that even in terms of education. We shouldn't forget that sometimes there are things that don't work in a lesson that are not because of us, not because of the student, not because of the activity itself. Sometimes it really is external factors. And unfortunately, at the moment, I've noticed some people are not entirely themselves at the moment. And this can be an external source of stress for our students. So that might, if you've noticed this recently in a few students, then consider those students just at the moment we know that it's important to have these P2s, these drilling activities, have them ready for your lesson, but do have a contingency activity, something that you can take out if you notice that it's not the right time, that your students are too stressed, they're not themselves, they need something different. Just have speaking activities ready with you just in case. I would take this lazy Lenny, for example. It's a very simple activity where Lenny and Nick are roommates, and Lenny is super lazy. He doesn't want to do anything, so there are chore cards, and student A needs to convince student B, Lenny, to do the chores. We agree that it's not an automate activity, so our students are still going to need to build their reflexes more. If we don't have the opportunity to do it, speaking activities are a good replacement. they don't fully replace the educational goal here. Students are going to need a lot more speaking activities to build their reflexes if we don't have P2 activities. But current circumstances oblige. I've noticed a few of my students, sometimes on some days, I notice they're freaking out. They're really too stressed out because of their family, because of world situation. There are a lot of different reasons why it can be. It happens. If it's not current situation, it does happen as well. Students are different. Some students respond more to these challenges. There are some students with whom it's just natural. You know, you just need to, you explain the principle once, you tell them, hey, you don't want to make mistakes. You want to speak English fluently and accurately. Well, there's only one solution. We need to build your reflexes so that just as in your native language, you don't think about it. You don't double guess, double question yourself. Those students are a charm to work with, of course. They understand why we're doing these activities, they follow. Some students resist a bit more because it's just not in their nature. They don't like this kind of stress. It's not natural to them. I find with them, it's very important to do what I explained at the very beginning today of the P2. They need more than anyone else, they need that safe zone, that safe place at the beginning. And I'm going to challenge them in a smoother manner, because I know that with them, it might come from their own upbringing. You know, some of us were raised by parents who were very, very result oriented and stressed us. Do this again, 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 again. Of course, students who have this kind of background with P2 activities, if we're not careful of the safe space at the beginning, they have those memories coming back. They have that negative stress coming to them, and that's what blocks them a little bit. That's why they're afraid of making mistakes. They're afraid of taking too much time, and it blocks them a little bit. So take the speed factor out at the beginning. Make sure to show your students that they can do it. They need to feel, not that, they need to not hear you can do it, they need to feel it. And it's our job to do that. I've actually also done speed unscramble or speed fill in the blank, something like that, 2 or 3 times slowly before timing students. And actually the first time I timed my students, I didn't tell them. So we did it once, no timing. They did it well. They took a long time, of course, that's why they're stressed. I praised them. I said, look, guys, you did it. It's not something that's easy, and you did it. It's first conditional. It's difficult, but you did it. Now, I've distracted you. You've done it before. Now, let's see. I'm sure you're going to see that you're going to do this a second time. You're going to feel yourself that you're doing it faster. Okay, so go, do it again. They did it again, and of course, they did it a bit faster. And I stressed it, guys, that was really nice. And you made fewer mistakes as well. Very good. And then I make them do it a third time, and I kind of started my timer secretly. And then when they finished, I get, guys, you know what? That's a great time. Compared to my other group, that's a great time. You did awesome. Exactly. Perfect, Lena. Mm-hmm. So that's a good way as well to cater to that kind of student. Did that answer your question? Are there any other cases of students stressed out a little bit?
Yes, it does. I just need to embrace it first and find the full answer myself, because I know the personal. Thank you.
Your answer was a bit, I don't know if it's my connection or yours. You mean
it must be mine.
You mean you want to find a system, yes, on how to answer that kind of question?
No, I mean, I just need time to embrace it and
Adapt
like
it.
think about it,
Yeah.
adapt it to the particular students, because I know their circumstances and things like that. Thank you.
Agreed. Actually, Tom and I, and with Artyom now as well, actually, we're working on a new course that will be literally group management, student management, on how to approach those different problems. So we're working on it at the moment. We want to develop this course because we've noticed that it's very easy for us teachers to focus on specific problems instead of looking at them as a whole. You might have heard of the expression to see see the tree but not the forest. So it's that whole idea of identifying a tree, one single problem, but we need a system that involves the whole forest. So we kind of finished talking about first conditional, second, and future time clauses, because as we're talking and solving this problem, Liana, I introduced Lazy Lenny. It's a great speaking activity. There are other speaking activities, as you can see here, for first conditional, but we did want to tackle all conditionals. So we're going to move off first and on to second. Again, I'm looking forward. In a week, 10 days, you'll have a little button here, only with. And in that case, we will see only activities with second conditional, because here you already see one, a king of the mountain mixing first and second. So if I'm looking again, just to check understanding, I go to P1, check understanding, and I search. And here I have conditional notes and basic practice, lots and lots of fill in the blank activities, revision activities, things like that. Activities where students are focused just on their own use of target language and we're checking their understanding. We go to P2 to get activities to automate the form and automate the basic logic. That's why we have activities, of course, King of the Mountain, where we have P2 activities where we focus on only the target language. We're automating the form. And then we have P2 activities where we're mixing target language so that we automate the form with the basic logic. So here we have loads of second conditional activities. King of the Mountain, I showed you. There are more speed fill in the blanks, more speed unscramble. I did want to show you card flip because I love card flip. It's similar, very similar. Students flip two cards. The first card forms the prompt for the beginning of a conditional second. The second card is the prompt for the ending. I love this because students get to focus on the basic logic 100% here. They need to focus on the whole idea that it's a different reality, it's a different now. He wakes up late, different now, different reality. If he didn't wake up late, dragons attack him, different reality. Dragons wouldn't attack him. It forces students to adopt that thinking. They need to take the card of reality, and if it's positive, put it in negative. If it's negative, put it in positive.
Have you considered an idea to make the special lockdown card flip?
Yes,
yeah, bookmarks, wonderful. That's what I really mentioned. But no, I mean the lockdown card flip about conditionals, because that's what we do. What I did almost with all my students in groups, like when the lockdown is over, or if I go to the school, if I went to the school today, then I would after school, because actually they are now they're practicing conditionals in real life, and I'm checking how well I taught it before, because every time when I do the small talk in the beginning or in the middle of the lesson, it's always conditionals. It's always if, about
You're
lockdown and stuff.
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. All small talk at the moment is about different reality, different past, different now. It's all a lot of conditionals. We didn't think of developing an activity on that, honestly, simply because I'm sick and tired of talking about it. Um,
Yeah,
I
that's true.
I think you've noticed, generally speaking, I'm quite of a quite a positive person in general. I do like fooling around, messing around, goofing around. Um, in class too, even with corporate clients, even with executives and people like that. I like spreading a bit of joy and putting a positive atmosphere in my lessons. And I found, of course, sometimes if students want to speak about it, I do speak about it. You know, the beginning of a lesson can be devoted to that. But gradually, more and more, I've noticed that it's this current situation is bringing most people down. And the best I can do is avoid talking about it. Because
Yeah, I
when I
agree
do,
with you. Yeah, sorry.
when I talk about it, I get a bit upset because, well, there's so much going on.
Yeah, but it's yeah, I remember the first week of online teaching when everyone was talking about it, and starting with the second week, I was, yeah, also so sick and tired that I every time when someone started talking about it, I didn't interact and tried to avoid this thing. But we also did a great activity, like we took one negative idea and gave two positive ones for it, and it was really nice.
Cool.
Like
Yeah,
exaggerating with kids, and it went really well.
agreed. If you're going to do that, it's great. Students, kids especially, I find at the moment kids are not too affected. I mean, they still they have joy in their heart no matter what. They're going to find the positive. They're young, full of energy, and they're ready to smile no matter what. Even if the world doesn't want them to smile, they're going to smile. They're going to find a way. So that's fine. With adults, yes, I more and more try to avoid the topic because I
Yeah,
find
because just because.
just because even with small talk, like short small talk, I find at the moment everybody's second guessing. Everybody thinks they know better than everybody else. It's not really a debate. It really easily leads to conflict. So for the it's a good idea for conditionals. If you feel, I would say it depends on your students. If you feel that your students are going to have fun with it, do it. If not, just yeah, keep away.
Just yeah, sit
I
and
like
wait for
this.
bookmarks. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
I like this card flip because it's completely random. And it can lead to some very funny associations. I really like this kind of absurd humor. I'm a big fan of Monty Python, for example. So here, they're just flipping cards randomly and connecting completely random ideas. He isn't famous. Oh, well, if he was famous, he's sleeping. He wouldn't be sleeping. If he was famous, he wouldn't be sleeping. His boss is angry, he's working. If his boss wasn't angry, he wouldn't be working. It makes no sense. It's a lot of fun. There are loads and loads of cars like that. Billy knows Suzanne. Billy's neighbors don't like him. Billy's friends are planning a surprise party. There are a lot of examples with Billy. I don't know what Billy ever did to us, but Billy's the hero of this particular card flip. It's good fun, and there are different card flips for different levels and different topics. Sometimes we mix them. So this one is loads of fun. I really like card flip. I'm tired. I go shopping on weekends. I have to leave. I'm happy. Ooh, I have to leave. I'm happy. If I didn't have to leave, I wouldn't be happy. That's kind of an insult at the end of a party, isn't it? So these are card flip activities, and you'll find them for third conditional as well. These are P2 activities. We're moving on to P3 activities. These are speaking activities. Production, P3. I highly recommend these for these conditionals. If I lived there and if we didn't have it. Oh, perfect, Anna. Building dexterity really made them happy? Cool. I love building dexterity. These are speaking activities for second conditional. And you can even find more under production. I really like if I lived there, or if we didn't have it. If we didn't have it, students imagine that on each card there's an object, an invention, a tool, a gadget, and they just start making, they have a quick dialogue based on if we didn't have this thing. And there are some really random ideas over there. Really random ideas. If we didn't have the wheel. Well, you know what? If we didn't have the wheel, yes.
How would hamsters do sport?
I've done this activity loads of time. I don't remember anybody ever having that idea. That's a brilliant idea. If we didn't have the wheel, hamsters would get fat, right? They wouldn't have a personal gym in their little cage in our little human homes. Although, would there be human homes if we didn't have the wheel? I don't know. That's another question. But hamsters, yes, you're absolutely right. What would hamsters do without the wheel? Great activity.
We would have to, yeah.
They would have to?
No, I will not go there. I will not go there.
They do push-ups and press-ups and things like that, right?
No, we would have to invent the special, how is it called, running machine for hamsters. This running machine, how is it called?
The treadmill.
Yeah, the treadmill for hamsters. And some of hamsters would be lazy. They wouldn't use it. They would only dry their towels of that. And yeah.
Now, very, very, very good idea. How would you invent a treadmill, though, without the wheel?
Because I'm an English teacher, I don't understand that we need a wheel for that.
Perfect. So, and after second conditional, we're moving on to third conditional. Same thing. So we have our second conditional, different reality. Second conditional, different now. Third conditional, different past. King of the Mountain, right up there. King of the Mountain. We've got loads of King of the Mountain. Let me show you. So P1s, that's for sure. We've got our notes, our basic practice with second, with mixed conditionals, or third conditional on its own. Basic practice and notes, third conditional, B1, B2. Again, can't wait for the only with button. That's going to filter out a lot of activities. And if we go to P2s for third conditional, we have our King of the Mountains. And guess what? Everything we discussed before. We have our card flips. We have our speed unscrambles on the next page. I just wanted to show you a card flip with third conditional. Same principle. Just all the phrases are in past. I didn't sleep, I ate a big lunch. If I had slept, I wouldn't have eaten a big lunch. I was late, I didn't see the dragon. If I hadn't been late, I would have seen the dragon. I'm really upset about this. Where did Daenerys go? Card flip, King of the Mountain. There you have it. We've got all these activities to automate third conditional. And as Lena said, some students freak out with these. They stress out more than others. Take your time, really. It's very important. The build up at the beginning plays all the difference. There's a fine line between building reflexes, marrying accuracy and fluency together, building those good reflexes that work, and stressing out students and making them panic and confusing the hell out of them. We have to be very careful. There's a fine line between the two. And it starts with that safe space. Students need to feel solid ground. They need to feel, okay, all right, let's build those reflexes. That's how the brain works. That's how the brain transfers knowledge to skill. So we have card flips. These are P2 activities for third conditional, and then P3 in production, when we're looking for speaking activities. So I wanted to show you this one today because I love it. It's great fun. Criticize and justify. Third conditional. I know some of our activities lead to negative situations, negative dialogues. We like putting students on their toes, so to speak. It's why? Because conflict situations lead to more speaking. There are more avenues. It's easier for our students to find the next thing to say because nobody likes a negative situation. So the whole goal of starting with a negative situation is to motivate students to find a positive outcome. When you start with a positive situation, you'll find a lot of students just don't know what to say because there's no real motivation. They're already in a positive situation. They're already feeling safe. Everything's fine. Teacher, what do you want from me? What do you expect from me? These situations... Sorry?
No.
You're breaking off slightly.
I just said sorry. I'll jump in later.
Oh, all right. We'll be waiting for you to jump in. So criticize and justify. The whole fun of this is exactly that. Students are going to criticize each other, and student A is going to criticize student B. Student B is going to try to justify themselves. So you made a mistake. I did the right thing. Blah, 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 blah. Put the students into pairs. Student A takes a problem card. A reads the problem card aloud. I forgot my friend's birthday. Student B criticizes A using third conditional, hopefully. If you'd written it down in your calendar, you wouldn't have forgotten your friend's birthday. If you had put it in your Google Calendar, you would have even done a more modern solution. A responds with third conditional to justify his or her mistake. If I hadn't been so busy at work, I would have remembered. If you had bought me a pen for my last birthday, as I'd wanted to, I could have written it down. So it's all your fault. It's loads of fun. Students go back and forth like this, one criticizing, the other justifying, maybe pushing back to the other. And you'll see that it'll lead to a compromise. It'll lead to some kind of resolution. You can also include regrets. Okay, I forgot my friend's birthday. If I checked social media, I wouldn't have forgotten. Something like that. So these are loads of fun. Little problems. Criticize and justify. I didn't study English yesterday. That's the card to start with. I laughed at a policeman's hat. Ooh. I didn't sleep last night. I believed I could fly. I broke a window at home. I got sick after eating out. True story, although not eating out lately. I got lost yesterday. I'm just thinking in the middle of our isolation, self-isolation. We're all staying at home all the time, and yet we managed to get lost yesterday. Wow. My pet tiger destroyed everything in my apartment. That's a shame. Criticize and justify. Loads of fun, and students are really going to practice their third conditionals here. Explain yourself and liar. As you can see, these are with a lot of different things. But once you're into mixed conditionals and conditional differentiation, explain yourself is a great P3 activity. You just have cards, students explain themselves. Why didn't you help me? Well, if you'd helped me the first time, I would have helped you the second time, all right? Why won't you help me next weekend? Hello? You didn't help me last weekend. blah, 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 blah. It's loads of fun. But we do only have a few minutes left, and I have a few production activities to show you too. And Lena, you promised you were going to chime in later. I wanted to show you this quirky boss activity. Quirky boss, it's a bit high level, but it's loads and loads of fun. Students are going to have job interviews together, but not any job interview. They're going to have a job interview with a very quirky boss. So you have job cards, okay, to put students in the situation: bodyguard, farmhand, librarian, painter, child toy designer. I love it. Child toy designer. Oh, you can jump in. Janitor at a tech company. And then you have quirky boss question cards. This is the whole fun part of the job interview. Ask a question that has to do with unicorns. Ask a question that has to do with living on another planet. Ask a question that has to do with poison. It's loads of fun. So student A is the interviewer, the boss. Student B is the interviewee, the potential employee. Student B takes a job card. This is a job for which he or she is applying. Student A can see it. They should know. And student A takes 2 or 3 question cards. And so students A and B are going to have a natural job interview. It should be natural. The boss should start with, tell me about yourself, or how does your experience, how will your experience help you in this job? Why should I hire you? They should start with something classic. And in the natural conversation, the quirky boss all of a sudden springs in a question about, I don't know, unicorns. Do you believe in unicorns?
Of course I do.
Perfect. All right. Well, we'll call you, okay?
That's not fair.
Sorry, that was a bit too quick. But that's the idea. The quirky boss is going to spring up really weird questions like that in the middle of a natural job interview. And at the end, ask the boss to make a decision. This is a great lesson we should always remember from project-based learning or task-based learning. There needs to be a finality to speaking activities, or else too quickly your students will lose interest in your speaking activities because they will never feel that it led to something in the end. They should feel that there's a conclusion and that you're interested. You didn't just give them the speaking activity just because, hey, you know what, students? I got 20 minutes to lose here, to waste, so here are job interviews. Just interview each other. Try not to make mistakes, okay? I'm gonna get on my phone right here. That's not what students want to feel. Students will be engaged in our speaking activities if they feel that the teacher is engaged, the professor is in the activity. So it's very important at the end to ask some kind of conclusion to show students that there's a finality to the activity. And in this case, it's simply asking them at the end, so, Antoine, are you going to hire Lena? Well, she asked great questions. She's obviously a great teacher. She's very involved. She's engaged. She's interested. She's devoting her Victory Day holiday to spending an hour of teacher professional development. I am a little concerned about her believing in unicorns, but I think we can move past that. We'll just make sure that she teaches a lot of very young learners. They'll understand each other. She might even believe in Santa Claus, in which case, I mean, it's going to be a perfect fit. So this kind of conclusion will make me feel like there was a point to it. I didn't just interview Lena just for the fun of it. It's very important to have this, this finality, this
feedback on content.
Exactly. So I wanted to show you this quirky boss. There are a lot more speaking activities like that combine different types of conditionals. Success story, what happened on Earth. We have. I'm gonna take a few more minutes just to show you also a very good activity. This one is great for mixed conditionals, for all conditionals. great revision project or production, searching for a nanny. This is an activity where student A, B, maybe even C, you can have a pair of parents interviewing potential nannies. And what we're going to do is we're going to give the parents this time some awkward child problem cards. So these are things that they should bring up during the interview to see how the potential nanny would react. The child tends to shout when hungry. The child has to read more but generally refuses. The child orders lots of food when he or she is hungry. Loads of examples, and you bring them up in the interview and you see how the nanny reacts to them. And this is great because it's similar to the previous idea, but now it really gives the nanny opportunity to express themselves in using different target language. That was the last activity I wanted to show you today. So this was finishing on third conditional, well, actually mixed conditionals, production activities. Any questions, comments? Anything else I can help with for today? You're absolutely welcome. You're absolutely welcome. I will repeat again. So from now on, what we're going to continue with, Artyom and I will be giving regular free podcasts online. They're going to be live, free on social networks, and in those live podcasts, we will have different sections where we're presenting new activities from the database, from the website, and one where we're answering your teaching issues. So you can send me teaching issues, and Artyom and I will pick one and we'll discuss that live. My weekly webinars are now only going to be available for subscribed teachers so that we have more of a dialogue. Like today. Yes, Liana?
Yes.
Yes. Perfect.
I'm just thinking, like, when you were discussing Belgian waffles, was it about the site or was it about teaching issues? I'm just trying to guess.
That was one of the most important philosophical questions of our age. So it was beyond just supporting your teaching, you know. It was actually helping. I was trying to help guide you to a better state of consciousness.
Thank you. That was the most unusual start of the webinar in all this lockdown time.
That was the goal. It was lots of fun. So yes, those live podcasts are going to be free, available to everyone. And these webinars, we are going to only be us, the club of subscribed teachers, so that we can focus more on the problems in hand and have a direct dialogue. All right? All right, if there are no more questions,
all right.
Comments? Perfect. I'm glad you're on board. Perfect. If there are no more questions or comments, I'm going to close this week's webinar. Again, happy Victory Day. Do celebrate and remember any way you can today. It's a very important day in history anyways. The lockdown doesn't stop everything, it stops gathering. It means we need to self-isolate, we need to take care of ourselves and be careful, but remembering. So happy Victory Day. Enjoy the weekend. I hope you're having great weather as well.
Thank you.
I'm proud to finally announce that I think summer has finally started in St. Petersburg.
Are you sure?
Well, I hope so. It's been a few days now of consistent okay weather, not great, but okay weather. And I think we've had around 50
So has it
degrees for
started
2 to
or
3
is
days.
it coming to end? That's serious.
Did you even hear me growling? No, it's Anna. I think we need to ban Anna from our. It's plus 27 in Tomsk again. Anna, I have the impression you've been telling me this for an entire month. Have you had an entire month of plus 27?
No, Anton, from time to time.
I'm. It's really upsetting. It's really upsetting because I've come to Tomsk for a few times already for teacher trainings and conferences, and the next one has to be online because of the current situation. It's going to be great still, but it was my one opportunity to see a scorching hot Siberian summer. It's legendary, the scorching hot Siberian summer. Everybody associates Siberia to very cold winters, and I've experienced it. I even had a very early morning, minus 40 or minus 50 degree walk in Tomsk. It was very cold, but it was great. I was a tourist, okay? I'm not saying that if I lived there, I would do that every morning, but to do it once, it was great. It felt amazing. But I'm missing the plus 27.
Welcome to Tomsk.
Soon. As soon as we can. All right. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the plus 27. I think Moscow's doing
positive thinking is very important.
Agreed. It's not the end of the world. It's a serious situation, but it's not the end of the world. I think Moscow, You've got pretty good weather as well, right? I was talking to Paul this week. He did say your lockdown is very serious. Like you have police stopping people in the street.
Someone has just said that he's trying to avoid this topic as much as possible, no?
Yes, I am. I just read it's cloudy apparently. It's cloudy in Moscow. They're pretty warm. I would say take full advantage of the balconies right now. I don't know where you're living, but I've noticed. If you haven't seen them, check those out, by the way. There was those very inspiring videos of the first balconies in Italy when it all started. When it all started in Italy, and they had these singing parades and things like that, people from their own balconies. I don't know if that's happening where you are, but I've noticed more and more there's balcony conversations, balcony entertainment. It's a great time to get to know your neighbors much better. True, of course, it's better at that time. Take it like that. Great time to get to know our neighbors, and that means that we'll have a healthy and supportive neighborhood in the future. All right, have a great weekend. Happy Victories Day, and catch you all next week. Bye-bye.
The same to you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.